Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Dan Coughlin, coming out of Connecticut. And he is an entrepreneur, he's an influencer marketer, and he helps clients craft digital journeys and take their influence from and build brands and as well as build companies and businesses. And it's a great addition to the show. And I'm happy to welcome Dan to the show. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, Christopher. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love starting off with briefly who you are, what you do, how you got there, and how the audience can benefit from your expertise.
Yeah. So I'm an accidental agency owner. My agency was founded in 2018. So going on 7 years ago now, by my wife. So she was an influencer on Instagram at the time, a micro influencer. She amassed about 25,000 followers on Instagram in pretty short time span, about a year. And she was in the healthy baking niche, so don't want to talk about my wife for the whole time, but she likes baking traditionally bad for you type things like brownies and cookies, but using better for you ingredients like coconut sugar or gluten-free flour and things like that. So by posting her recipes, she got this nice little Instagram following. And what started happening is she started getting brand deals, right? Offers from brands like even some household names like Panera were saying, hey, we'll give you a few $100. Can you make an Instagram reel for us? And what she realized back then is that brands really struggled to effectively partner with content creators on social media.
Mhm.
So she ended up taking her first brand client back then and helping them strategize and execute an influencer campaign. And that's how Get Hyped was born. So since then, we've evolved from this like influencer specialist agency, and we do a lot of other performance type social media marketing. So we'll do ads and email and UGC and funnel building and things like that because we're trying to help our small business clients improve their bottom line working with influencers, right? It's hard. Influencer as a concept is really easy to grasp for most people. Like, hey, I'm going to get this person and they have an audience and I'm going to get them to talk about my service or my product or whatever it is. That makes sense. But the actual execution of making money from that is a lot more complicated these days. So we help bridge that gap, right? We help our clients, our small business clients, use content creators on social media specifically and turn that into real recurring revenue.
Interesting. And I have some questions around, kind of these brand deals because yeah, I get approached quite a bit and it's hard to distinguish between what's real and fake. And, there's so many fake accounts and scams. And so, but one thing I want to talk about is so this I always look at the cutting edge and what's coming. And so you have this idea of the evolution of influence and navigating the shifting sands of social media. We'll elaborate on that.
So what's happening is that the 10-year-old strategy of, I'm going to partner with this influencer. I'm going to pay this influencer X amount of money, and then I'm going to get some multiple of X in sales from that partnership. That is becoming almost impossible to make happen. It does happen these days, but we call them more of unicorns, right? And it takes lots of testing and tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars pouring into an influencer campaign specifically to find those folks that can deliver that ROI, where that used to be commonplace 10 years ago, right? Everybody was doing it. But now in this post-COVID environment, you're not competing just against the other businesses in your niche online. You're competing for influencers' attention from all the big giant brands and companies out there who are all now pouring into smaller and smaller influencer partnerships because all these big companies with big budgets recognize the power of micro influencers and above that mid-tier influencers, right? Folks that have followings like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 on Instagram. 5, 10 years ago, big brands didn't care about those folks. They wanted somebody with like 1 million followers and above. But even now the big companies are recognizing that the power of content creators on social media is in those smaller niche audience influencers that have a dedicated following that haven't been like washed out, right? Because what happens with big influencers when they get to that million followers, it becomes more generic, right? Their audience becomes more generic, their content naturally becomes more generic, and it's harder for businesses to really get tangible results from them, right? But that demand that skyrocketed for micro influencers has made the market rate go up as well, so it's more competitive, and influencers recognize that, so now they can charge more and they're actually getting it, right? Which makes it tougher for small businesses. So you have to be scrappy as a small business, and you have to think, how do I get more return on this partnership with this micro influencer who may cost $1,000 for a post? Right? How do I get more than $1,000 return for my business out of that person? And oftentimes it's utilizing their content beyond the post, right? So the benefit is not just what their audience sees when they make the post, it's amplifying that post, like by using things like whitelisting, which is putting targeted paid spend on social media and running it through that influencer's post. Whitelisting is kind of like a term that's more commonly understood these days, but it's basically like, for anyone in the audience that's run Facebook ads, right? You run Facebook ads from your business's Facebook ads manager, and those ads will display with your business's name on the ad, right? Makes sense. Anyone who run ads understands that. But what most people don't understand is how a whitelisted ad is where that content creator, say they're on Instagram, they specifically give the business permission to run their post as an ad, right? So the nuance is that when that post shows up in all your cold audience's Instagram and Facebook feeds, the name doesn't say your business. The name says the influencer's name, like on the handle that's displayed on the image. So the ad appears more authentic, and that whitelisted type ads generally perform like 20 to 50% better than a traditional Facebook ad campaign.
Interesting. And that's why, if for the serious, and it's good to partner up with a marketing agency such as yourself. So one thing I have question for you is, for a lot of these micro influencers, kind of the long tail, they get approached, let's say they get a DM or something, and they're like, promote our brand and you'll get, we'll pay you, $100, or you get free products and all of this. How do you distinguish what is a scam and what's not? Because it's so rampant.
Yeah, there is a lot out there. It's really tough. Like I tell our clients to not respond to any DMs, right? Some still do. And they're, most of the time you're wasting your time, because unfortunately, the scammers are really good at disguising themselves these days as being genuine and like, hey, I really love your brand. And then they compliment you and like, hey, I just want to, let's, and really they're trying to get something out of it. Obviously there's something in it for them. There are those good folks out there that are just trying to get experience, right? They're just trying to promote brands to build their portfolio as a content creator. But those are rare and it can be tough. So, small businesses that want to do it themselves, there's a lot of really affordable platforms out there that will find small, like nano and micro creators that you can partner with. There's SaaS platforms with the subscription rates, $100 a month or something like that. I tell a lot of small brands that want to do it, do the DIY thing, and they can't afford to work with an agency like me. I point them towards those SaaS platforms, and they're great. They're super useful. Like small content creators will go on there all day long. You can, they'll do agreements, right? Like legal agreements with the content creators for you as the brand, and you can get a deal with them. You just do a Google search, like content creator partnership platform. There's dozens of them out there. Like just try one as a business, and that will get you familiar with like how to chat with content creators, what kind of deals they ask for, what the market rate is. Then you can be more informed and go talk to an agency like me and know exactly what you're getting yourselves into, right? Because what the small businesses realize is that like going back and forth with these content creators, negotiating with them, it takes a lot of time. Right. That's the tough part about it. There's a lot of communication because you're managing relationships with folks at scale, right? These are outsourced people that are representing your business and your brand. And it becomes a lot of conversations to manage. And that's when those business owners get overwhelmed with that. That's when they end up coming to an agency like me to say, hey, okay, I get how this works now, but can you do it for me?
Yeah, I love that. They always understand the basics. And then once you then you hand it over to a professional. Moving on, you talked about this concept of virality and just kind of this it is asymmetric, where you put a little but you get a lot. And talk about decoding the DNA of successful campaigns.
Yeah. So virality gets a lot of interest. It gets a lot of eyeballs, right? Because everybody loves the success story, right? I go back to the unicorn. Like virality cannot be predicted and manufactured, right? There's a lot of luck involved, and then there's a lot of trial and error involved as well, right? So my opinion is that it's a flawed strategy as a business to try to always be chasing the viral post. Like I just had a conversation with a client yesterday, right? And they're like, we got this TikToker, and she had 500,000 TikTok followers, and her views just knocked it out of the park with this post that she did. And I'm like, cool, like tell me more about that. Like how many people were in this campaign total? And it turns out there was like 40 different content creators in this campaign, that they all had the same instructions, the same guidelines, the same product, but one out of the 40 had one video that was stuck out among all the rest. Right. And they were like, now we know what works. We just got to get every single time we got to do what she did. And I had to have the conversation with them of like, that's not going to happen. Right. Like that was your one lucky post that went semi-viral. That's awesome. We can absolutely try our best to replicate it, but experience has taught us that 99.9% of the time, that's not going to happen. Right. So what you need to do is you need to plan and strategize for the averages, right? Like you need to look at your data, the top performers, you continue to work with those folks, and the people who don't perform as well, you don't work with them again, and then you backfill into testing new creators. So it's an ongoing process of like two parallel paths of working with top performers over and over again as brand ambassadors, having them post monthly or some cadence, while you're also at the same time looking for fresh new talent to find more future brand ambassadors that could knock it out of the park. That's a good influencer strategy.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of, you have to mix the kind of the 0.1% versus kind of your basics and the fundamentals. The other question is, you know, a lot of the audience, they're influencers themselves, and they don't, a lot of them are doctors and dentists. They don't have time to do all this. They have people that do the social media. So, but for those interested in professional help, what sets Get Hyped apart from other marketing agencies, especially in how you approach influencer marketing?
Great question. I love you. That's perfect. This is my favorite topic these days, because I have like 3 doctor clients right now, and they're chiropractors or med spa type practices, a lot of weight loss, right? And what we found that's really knocking out of the park for them, and that's a massive differentiator, is that, and I'm sure they can relate to this, they all get ads probably on their personal Facebook and Instagram all the time for like lead gen agencies. Like, I'm going to get you, 30 customers a month, or 100 customers a month, or some crazy promise, or some crazy offer, right, for their clinics or their centers. And what I hear over and over again from every doctor that I talk to is that, like, okay, all those people overpromise and underdeliver, right? Like, I don't see any leads, I don't get the clients, right? So, but the few doctors that I have as clients, the way we designed a system for them, right? And the thing is, it's not about any one marketing channel. It's not about the content creators, or it's not about Facebook ads, or it's not about whatever. Like, there's no secret sauce, right? I'm a big proponent of, it's about marketing combinations. It's about having an integrated marketing strategy for your business. And when you're a doctor, it's like you need to establish a lot of touch points, right, with your target customers, so they feel comfortable about signing up with you and then getting help from you that they ultimately need, right? So I'm going to use weight loss, for example. Like, people out there are in pain, right? They are overweight, their clothes don't fit, they might have physical things like back pain or other kind of health issues. America has a weight problem. So the way we have helped our doctor clients find customers, more of them on a recurring, consistent basis that need their help, is that we find content creators in their area, right? So, for example, I have a new client in San Diego that's a weight loss center. We found San Diego-based people who need to lose weight, and we have them actually take the program. Like, any one of those doctors, other customers, right? So they come right in just like any other customer would, and they get the results, right? And then they story tell those results through social media content. That's the secret, right? Because it's marketing 101. People prefer to buy from other people, right? So the best marketing is storytelling type marketing. So we find a woman in San Diego. She takes the client's weight loss program. She loses 20, 30 pounds, and she makes an Instagram reel every single month telling her the story of her weight loss journey. And she's so excited about it because it's authentic. She's really taking the program and she's really dropping the weight. That's the best part about it, right? So first post, I'm excited to get started. Second post, I'm 10 pounds down. Third post, I'm 25 pounds down now. I feel great. My back pain is gone, right? And then what we're doing is we're running ads using that content. So we're running targeted Facebook and Instagram ads for using that whitelisting process I described earlier for that specific doctor who's doing a weight loss program. And now everybody in that area that's getting targeted is like, wow, I want to lose weight just like Kelly did. And so then it really generates a lot, like a groundswell of interest and new customers for the client.
Yeah, I know. I love how your approach is, and it's very strategic and methodical. And we have around 5, 7 minutes. And so one thing is talking about is how do you go about selecting the right fit for a particular campaign or brand? If you have the audience comes to you and says, "Oh, how do you address these?" And then we'll talk about how to kind of the challenges you face.
Right. Yeah, it depends on the goals, right? So we're always going to custom pick content creators for the client and their specific goals, right? We've worked with some big name brand clients with influencer programs, and they're going to want the cream of the crop influencers, the ones that charge the most money, and they want people who are very brand safe, and they're going to almost script because they have a lot of compliance and legal things. You don't want to do that as a small business. What a small business wants to do is you want to have content creators that are scrappy, and then they also fit your target customer's persona, because people like to buy from other people who are just like them. So I always like to start with the conversation of who's your target customer, right? And let's go back to like the med spa example for, like if your target customer is a woman who's 35 and is, middle class to upper income, right? Then let's find content creators just like that. Right. And the best thing about finding content creators to make content for your business is that they are literally everywhere, and they're very, very affordable. Right. And I want to make the distinction, like a content creator and an influencer are two different things. Right. Influencer is actually a subset of the content creation world. Right. What separates an influencer is that they have that massive following they've built up. But in reality, a lot of businesses don't realize that there's content creators out there, meaning just people that can make really good Instagram reels for your business. They don't have a ton of followers. They might have 500 or 1,000 followers, but they can still make awesome videos. And that's super, and they're super affordable. So we work with those folks, those small following content creators, and they're almost just as impactful as the big giant influencers at a fraction of the price.
Yeah, I love that. What are, kind of to round it out, some of the challenges that people should be aware of when working with agencies, and then how can people find you and reach out to you and work with you?
Yeah, the agency thing is tough. I sympathize with a lot of business owners. There's a lot of people out there over-promising and under-delivering. Ask for case studies, and then ask for case studies that specifically show results that you're looking to obtain as a business owner. Like going back to the doctors, for example, like if the results they're looking for me for an agency is more booked calls on their calendar to sign up more customers, I'm going to benchmark what they're doing right away, right? So when they come to me, I'm going to say, how many calls are you doing a month right now, right? And if my potential client says, I'm doing 100, average of 100 calls a month, okay? Then my case study after 3 months is going to say, I took them from 100 calls a month and we doubled it. After 3 months, we're at 200 calls a month. Good. That's a nice, simple, like I took you from A to B and this is how we did it, right? The thing that most like case studies out there for agencies are lacking is like, okay, what were the tangible bottom line business transformational results? You'll get a lot of like, we generated this many leads and and it's all top and middle of funnel type metrics, because most agencies are very focused on their lane. They're checking the box saying like, we generated the leads we said we were going to do, and that's where they stop. But I feel like that's a flawed approach, because if you can't actually help your client add to their bottom line revenue and grow their business month after month, then you're not really doing them justice as an agency partner. So I like to have the conversation with our clients of like, great, like how many calls did you do last month? How many did your team close? Is that consistent over the previous month? Are we going in the right direction? If not, why? And let's look at the individual KPIs to say like, where might the process be breaking down, or where is there areas for improvement? So having those normal conversations, I find a lot of business owners don't even know their KPIs. So before even talking to an agency, that's where I would start. If you're going to talk to a lead gen agency or any kind of agency that's going to get you more, like high ticket service based, doctors, physicians, things like that, look at how many leads am I doing month after month? How many of those am I actually closing? Because a lot of times too, I see the sales teams aren't that good at closing either, right? There's a lot of opportunity for like their sales team to have better scripts and conversations with potential customers to get more consistent month over month revenue from that as well.
I love that. And yeah, and I love this. What was really fascinating discussion. And how can they contact you and, check out your socials and your work and so on?
Yeah, so I'm hyped. You can email me at dan@gethypedmedia.com, or just come check out our website. But yeah, we're all over the place these days. So if you have any kind of service-based business, e-commerce business, and you want to work with content creators, you want to add to your bottom line, come contact me. We'll have a conversation, see if we're a good fit for you.
I love that. And very experienced. And for all the audiences, thank Dan for coming on and check out his work. And thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Christopher. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.